Basil, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Alex. Very well. How are you, man?
I'm very good. So we've got a really nice one, interesting one too this week. It's called The Sound of Metal. It's on Prime. So I watched it on Prime, and it's the premise is very simple, very straightforward. It's about a drummer, a musician that his life is thrown out of track when he loses his hearing. So he becomes deaf, and then he deals with it for the rest of the film. It's with the main character is played by Ahmed, and he's been nominated this year for Best Actor at the Oscars, and the film itself is nominated for Best Film, which is always a good sign. But that's the premise, and the rest of it is just spectacular. What did you thought of it, sir?
Yeah, so Ruben is his name.
Ruben
is touring across America really with his beloved girlfriend Lou, and she's like the lead vocalist in a heavy metal rock band, and he's the drummer, and it's like a two-man act, so to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, and but yeah, straight away from the get-go, he introduced them both. They're both performing on stage. She's lead vocalist. She's doing screamo practically, and all you can hear is the sound in the film is fantastic. Ironically, a film about being deaf, because it really puts you in his shoes. And it's the first half an hour is very he's in denial about it, because all he can hear essentially is bass, which is a lot of bass in his lifestyle, as you can imagine when he's performing. He can't even hear any of the notes anymore, and he can't hear anyone talking. It's just all bass in the back of his ears. It's a great little film. I was really impressed with it, because as I say, the first half an hour is just him denying that his life is slipping away from him, because he keeps thinking there's going to be a quick fix to it. So it's straight away he gets told by a medical professor that he could get surgery potentially, but it'd be very costly. But we quickly soon realise that there's going to be no quick fix to this. He's seriously damaged his ears beyond repair, and how he copes with that is how the film plays out really, and he ends up going to go on.
The voice of doom, the doctor actually says you're hearing about 20% now, but you'll lose that too gradually, and he's like...
Yeah, and he doesn't really listen to that almost, does he? He just ignores it, because he's still saying to his girlfriend, "Oh, we'll carry on touring. I'm just gonna play off how you're playing your notes." And he's trying to figure out ways. And in the end, they end up going to this kind of community of deaf people, which Lou forces him to go to. Yeah. They go there, don't they? And then straight away, the chap who runs the show there is this gentleman called Joe. And he's going to be... Is he Oscar nominated for Best Supporting Actor?
He is indeed, yeah. The guy that runs the community.
Yeah, quite rightly so, because, he's fantastic in this film. He says straight from the get-go, if you're going to live in this community with us and get accustomed to your problem, then no phones, no outside communication with the outside world, and Lou will have to leave you. Lou in this instance,
Lou being the girlfriend.
Ruben just goes, bugger this, I'm not doing that, and tries to leave straight away. And I think right from there, there's it's that denial, isn't it? And there's a scene where they have to part ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of heart crushing scenes. But also a lot of nice scenes during his that section of the film when he's at this community. Where there's children, there's schools, and there's all sorts of things. It's a proper community that everybody's just accepted the fact that they can't hear.
Yeah, it's a great insight into a deaf community, because I think none of us are accustomed to how it must be.
I didn't even know that. That this is how it is.
To be to see what a deaf community is like. So not only are we thrown into the mix of what it's like to lose your hearing, and very well thrown into the mix of that. You can really put yourself in Ruben's shoes. But then we're thrown into the mix of there's a deaf community, and I think one of the scenes that I really appreciated was just when they're all sat around the dinner table, and it keeps contrasting between Ruben's hearing, which is just the bass thing again, and then it will cut to a scene where they're making noises, but all you hear is tapping and clinking, and it's it looks like they're having a full-blown conversation, but it's all in sign language.
Which is what they have, but it's all in sign language.
Is what they have.
It's what they have, but it's all in sign language. And to a normal, not the normal, but to me and you that we can hear, it looks totally out of whack.
It looks very strange, very alien. It looks very alien, you know.
But it's also, the film in itself is an achievement because, I mean, besides the acting, which is very well deserved that he got nominated. I mean, they're all of them are really good, but he's just like one of these up and coming actors that we're gonna see him a lot more because he's really good. That's one of the key pieces of the film, but also the sound across the film is almost like a character in itself, because you don't sit with the character all the time with what he's hearing. You get interrupted by reality from what he's hearing once in a while, just to show the comparison and just to make you
value. You make
angry, or
value
almost
the sound
make you
as well,
tense.
don't you?
Exactly, because sometimes there are moments when he's saying something to the other person, and the other person writes it down, but you don't see what the other person writes down.
Yes. Yeah.
And that makes you feel like you can't hear that the other person, and it just makes you say, I want to hear, what are you saying, what are you writing down? And it makes you feel like he does. That's one thing. And the other thing is that at one point his hearing situation changes in the film, without spoiling too much, which makes him hear some of the reality around him. And that also puts things into perspective, because it's not the best of solutions. It gives you the bare minimum of the sound that you need in order to manage in life.
Yeah, it's practical, isn't it? It's practical.
Nuanced. Exactly, yeah. And that is very well done and very well presented by the film. That's what you hear when you put that implant around the ear and how you're hearing. And just makes you empathize with that too, because you're thinking, oh, this is not...
And I think that's one of the subjects in the film as well. It might not be the overlaying kind of storyline, but it's one of the subjects in the film, which is Ruben, right from the get-go, he thinks being deaf is a disability. And Joe, the leader of the deaf community, is trying to drum it into him that that's the opposite. It's just being you. You know, it's not even a disability. And I think that's Ruben's story. He's trying to fix himself and trying to make try and go back to his old life, but actually he needs to come to terms with the fact that that's him now, and he needs to see himself as not disadvantaged, as just different, you know.
It's also this is a sign of a really good film, is when, you know, I mean, in the beginning is crushing the fact that he's an artist that relies on sound and loses it.
Yeah,
but then
a musician,
Then in the middle of the film, it brings you back hope. It brings you a glimmer of hope that even though he's deaf, in that community, he might have found a new start in life, which is not too bad.
Yes.
And then his ambition and his condition as an artist, it drives him right back to being not accepting his condition and sacrificing, you know, a lot of what he's earned so far in life. So it goes up and down the emotional line in this film, which makes it such a brilliant film, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what was it? Prime. On Prime. You saw it.
I watched it on Prime.
The Sound of Metal. Yeah, really good. Yeah. All right, sir. I'll talk to you next week. Yeah.
Take care, Alex. See you later.
Have a good one. Bye.